here. We're live. We're back in studio once again for another edition of 4th and 4, your nonstop go-to place for all things NFL Sunday football. I am Zach Common in here, as always, at the beginning of the hosting chair as we lead off into our pregame here, going into that first quarter discussion. And I might as well now bring in my buddies here for the rest of the crew for 4th and 4. Sans one. He's at a game currently today that we will be discussing later on, most likely. Otherwise, you have, of course, the high-low duo of DJ Stewart and Kelcey Coyne in studio. Gentlemen, welcome aboard. Week 6 in the NFL is just around the corner. We get to bring everybody a little bit of everything for your entertainment going into this Sunday's games. How you doing?
Doing good. I mean, I don't know if Week 6 is around the corner. Week 6 is definitely here. Based off what we saw Thursday.
I'm forgetting that. See, that's
it was
why.
it was like a boring appetizer to the rest of the week, but like it was a game that honestly could have gone a completely different way, but
Yeah.
There's a possibility. But no, it's good to be back as always, talking NFL, Zach. I'm sorry I had to bring up your bad memories already.
No, don't worry. It's all good. We got to talk about it anyway.
Yeah, hopes and dreams shot immediately within 3 minutes of the opening of the episode. Sorry.
You know what? Yeah, I that's the best as you could put it. That's all I could tell you. Yeah, DJ, how's it going? And I do reiterate, yes, I am saying around the corner for Week 6 because I really am trying to put my mental space away from what I saw on Thursday Night Football. So I'm just putting that out there.
Meanwhile, I liked the game on Thursday because I guess I'm the odd one here. Even though the last two games everyone says were boring, they came down to the last minute towards the end of the game. They were climactic. Maybe the middle of the sandwich wasn't great, but the end of that meal, the dessert was pristine. It came down to 4th and goal, both the last two games.
That's true.
I guess if you like suspense, I kind of enjoyed them. Sure, the middle part was a salad, but the end of it was not too bad.
That's a nice way to say a salad. That wasn't even like a salad.
I'm talking about like the salad that cows eat. They're not like a human salad.
Yeah.
Like dirt grass with still cow poop on it.
It's like you got to wade
Greek
through
antipastas that people like sit in delis and they never sell, whatever those are. You guys ever see those little like things that they always sit in the deli? They always like will just throw in for free with your deli orders. Yeah, those are those pasta things.
See, the way you're equating the salad, I'm thinking it's like, okay, you got to wade through all this muck sometimes. Maybe you don't get a good bite on a salad, but every once in a while you get that like big cluster of toppings on there with the minimal amount of lettuce. And you just take it like, that's what I wish the salad was every bite. And so that's what the fourth down situations were, or maybe the other adage is, for some reason this time it was about the destination, not the journey along the way. Because let's be frank, as we start off quarter number 1 and give you our storylines here to follow, we always talk Thursday Night Football. We got to do it again. It was billed. People thought, hey, could it get worse? Well, it certainly seemed like the matchup had the potential. And you know what? Yeah, it got basically on par with back-to-back weeks. I'll be frank, I've been catching up on Thursday Night Football in highlights, read-ups, everything I needed because I was worried about some matchups like this. And because I'm a Bears fan, I'm a glutton for punishment, so I made myself sit through it. And it's every bit of what I was hoping I didn't want to watch on Thursday night. Some of the production quality was Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit were awesome, so that was nice. And then the game quality, what we all came here to watch. Chicago can't score in 3 possessions inside the Commanders' 5-yard line. The Commanders need a muff punt from Velus Jones, who is getting more and more by the day old man jokes thrown his way than any other person in the NFL. They have a muff punt that leads to Brian Robinson running in for the game-winning touchdown, which if by and by that's probably the best story in this whole competition is Brian Robinson returning from his summer mugging incident that led to a gunshot wound in his leg. Gentlemen, I got my own takes. I got plenty because I'm a Bears fan. I can give you all day on this, but I look to you guys as more neutral parties here. How do you look at Thursday Night Football this week? I mean, what do you take away from any of this?
Yeah, I mean, it was something. I honestly, okay, so it was weird because Thursday night games have been bad the last couple weeks. You don't go a whole game without scoring a touchdown. Really, they've gone 6 quarters without scoring a touchdown before the touchdown was scored by Brian Robinson, which was, wow, thank God there was finally a touchdown scored, right? That's how it felt. Right. But with that said, like, it wasn't all overall a bad game. This felt like an old school Bears, old school Washington type of a matchup. Two teams that historically don't pass the ball well. I mean, two teams that you talk about them, they are run first teams. And you look at some of the rushing stats from this game. I'm just going to look at the Bears rushing stats as they are on the lower end of the scoreboard here. You have Justin Fields, 88 yards rushing. Khalil Herbert, 75 yards rushing. David Montgomery, 67 yards rushing. Flip over to the Commanders. Brad Robinson, 60. Antonio Gibson, 35. J.D. McKissick, 20. McLaurin kicked in 11. This was an old school matchup from top to bottom. Really defensive, really strong defensive as well. It wasn't bad offense like we saw from the Colts and Broncos. It was really good defense in a lot of ways in this one, and just slow pace. I mean, really just a slow pace, and that's just people don't enjoy that nowadays, whatever reason. So be it. But I'll tell you what I saw from this game, and the one thing I appreciated was they let Justin Fields throw the ball for more than 20 times. 14 of 27, 190 yards, a touchdown. Yes, that bad pick. We all can talk about that pick for days. But when you consider the fact that he is still throwing a quarter less than most of your other qualified quarterbacks who have started every game of this season, that's going to happen. I mean, those mistakes are going to happen. Yeah. So, it's that passing mistake is a situation that's something he just hasn't had an opportunity to look at defenses long enough and look at situations and learn that, hey, he has to put a higher angle on his release, get it over the top of his offensive line. That way you don't have to worry about it. Yes, it was a bad pick, like a bad situational pick. Was it a bad situation for Justin Fields after the end of the game? No, not by any means. I think this is a situation where, again, you're hamstringing your quarterback by not letting him throw more than 20 times most of the season. Then you finally do let him throw more than 20, and now you're going to blame him for making a young kid's mistake. That's heinous. I mean, that's fair. You don't give him a chance to make the mistakes by hamstringing him. So now you're going to blame him for this one. I mean, there was so many more mistakes had on this field. Marset again just continues to be that guy at the end of the game that can't get it done at your receivers. So yeah, I'm just appreciative the Bears finally let a little bit of the restraints off of Justin Fields to see if he is that guy, because until they do let him off, we're going to keep wondering. And then everybody's going to keep blaming Justin Fields for this, but he still might be your best quarterback you've had since Jay Cutler.
So, we're all hoping that's the case. I mean, that's everything you hear. It's been in a year and now maybe plus a quarter. It's all about the potential of Justin Fields, the athletic ability, insane. 39-yard run in the fourth quarter displayed everything that people love about how the speed this young man has and his escapability that not all quarterbacks can possess. The question is, can you develop him? And the other question is, can we even evaluate him this season right now?
I'd say, I mean, you kind of both hit on the head there. I mean, they run the ball so damn much, but I think they both know that they can't protect him because that offensive line is bottom 3 in the league in pass blocking. I think they realize that those receiving core is bottom 5 in the league as well, too, as far as getting open. Like they showed the one play where he got sacked. They showed the back angle. My first thought was, Justin, you can't take a sack. They show the back angle. Like, my goodness. Even in Madden, people get open more than this. Like, what is going on here? Everyone is double teamed somehow. I don't know how they pulled it off, but it looked like everybody was double teamed because of how blanketed they were. Mm-hmm. So I think that's my only guess is why they are running the out of the ball. Even in, all right, we're down by 10 in the fourth quarter, we're going to run the ball. We finally see them throw the ball. You see some good things, you see some bad. You got to learn by doing though. And you're, as Kelcey mentioned, hamstrung the first year too. Injuries plus you're letting him get crushed by Shaq Barrett against the Buccaneers, and you can't block anybody. So this one, and Zach, you probably have talked about this more, and we'll give you a little bit more time to talk about since this is the one you're steadfast on. But how do you expect him to develop when you give him nothing? That's my only thought there. I mean, you had this offseason. I know you're rebuilding. You didn't give him anything this offseason. I know maybe you're going to rebuild this offseason with all that cap, but you don't give him any help. No offensive line help, no receiver help. I mean, the big free agent signing receiver is Brandon Pringle, and he had himself in off the field trouble at one point. Like, what is going on here? Like,
well, he's not even healthy. He can't even get on the field right now. I think his stat.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying his stat line is for this season 2 catches for 3 yards. Last I checked, not much of an impact at all.
It sounds like Cole Kmet's, which is I was going to say this is to add on to the receiver was the one guy that should be a quarterback friendly option. Your tight end, he is non-existent. Like he is non-existent right now, and he's supposed to be his all-world tight end. So that's another issue to add to. But Zach, I'm with DJ here. I do want to hear your thoughts on this one. This is because this is the Bears.
The last thing I
Right.
do want to chime in before I give you the full reins, quote unquote, before I let you loose, before I let Zach cook, if you will. Darnell Mooney has to catch that last pass. If you caught it one of the first 3 times you
dude.
juggled it, this is a whole different conversation. Justin Fields showed, for lack of a better Twitter phrase, he's got that dog in him. He has a lot of things that kind of bug you, some of the inaccuracy, some of the decision making. When the chips are on the table 2 weeks in a row, he's put you in a position to win. He can't help one guy fumbling. He can't help Darnell Mooney waiting till the 4th juggle to catch it, so he's out of the end zone. He catches it one of the first 3 times. It's a score. We're not excusing the interception off the helmet. We're not excusing the missed touchdown to the tight end to look where tight end kind of stopped running. Fields lobbed it.
Yes.
It's a 4-yard pass. You got to hit him in the face with it. It's still the point is there's a lot more to like there than with a lot of other teams' quarterbacks if they give him a chance. But this offseason, build around him. Let year 3 be the year where he welcomes everybody to the league, basically. If they don't want him, trade him now and draft your own quarterback. There's a lot of teams that'll take Justin Fields and build around him. But Zach, the reins are yours. Take us through Chicagoland.
Well, I think you're bringing a lot of concerns and also points that I think are being juggled by that fan base right now. And also I think just that the national media wants to discuss, for example, we're talking on Fields. Richard Sherman brought a point at the post game that I had such a deja vu moment about from 2 years prior with Mitch Trubisky. He said, Luke Getsy needs to play to his strengths. And I just paused and froze for a second. Like, we have full circle went back to this conversation again. It has been 2 years, new coaching regime, and we are back to play to the strengths of the QB with Mitch. Like, Mitch was being discussed back at the time when they were trying to evaluate, do they want to move post 2020 without him? And, I was on the fence about that take back then. Maybe more so now. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Because what do we have around him that will at least start to help with forcing the issue of passing and on a timely manner and where he can feel safe about doing it? And the answer is not much. Me and Coach Steve on the Coach Steve show, we talked about this. I would not mind seeing a Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens-esque offense like his rookie to sophomore year where, look, you have Herbert, you have Montgomery, Fields clearly can run. Use that to your skill set. You don't have the receiving talent to force the issue. Mooney can be your supplemental guy if you really want, like a Marquise Brown. Cole Kmet, maybe he develops a little more, but he's not a pass blocker, but maybe you get more Ryan Griffin involved or something like that. I think that you have the talent that's worth, if you want to shift like that, that's doing it like that, or just focus on the skill set of maybe RPO passing, which has worked in times for him too. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to kind of give critiques because I see good stuff with Justin Fields. I love the mobility. I love the escapability that he has. It's freakish. It makes your mouth salivate for just what could lie ahead. And I've seen some of these ridiculous throws. That pass to Dante Pettis was a perfectly placed ball, and the way that he was able to rush the line and they caught him off guard with 12 men on the field, it was exactly what I want to see out of a future star quarterback. But, then again, I see stuff where it's bailing out of the pocket early, or maybe you take a bad sack. Some of it's on the line. Others, there are issues on his end, or it's a poorly thrown pass into the dirt or behind a receiver. There's still things that I do have issue with Justin Fields, but I do give him the benefit of the doubt for next year as well. And I think that pressure only just becomes increased when you see, what do the Bears have on the horizon? They have a full draft class next year. They have, right now, it's projected to be the most cap space in the NFL for any NFL team. Ryan Poles cleared house. He deserves a lot of crap for leaving the offensive line in the disarray it is, but they are planning for next year. That is their whole angle with fans right now, and this team is, if we can evaluate and get to 2023, that's what we want to do. Does that mean it's going to be pleasant? Oh, God, no, it's not. And I'm worried that it will result in a backfire that 2023 can only be worse for the sake of, I don't want my quarterback having a season-ending injury that affects the beginning of the year. Like, say, a Joe Burrow, who took constant hits his rookie season, had to have a rehab, and luckily was back and playing at top form to where they could make a run. And I don't want to deal with that. I want a healthy quarterback with a competent line from a GM that was a former lineman, mind you, and didn't invest in that spot. And unfortunately, we're stuck here with that. And I don't have much to put beyond saying that it's going to be hard to eval. It's going to be hard for the rest of the year this way. But we got to push through.
You know what I think would be a good offense for him as well, too? We kind of mentioned a little bit. Do you remember Donovan McNabb and the Eagles in those 2000s when they kept going to the NFC Championship games?
Yes.
He did before T.O. when they didn't have really any their best receiver was a running back.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they should institute something like that where there's a lot of McNabb moving out of the pocket, too. Like Andy Reid, of course, is a genius. I'm not saying anyone should be Andy Reid, but something similar because McNabb's the weirdest passer I've ever seen in that he throws better on the run than standing still. It makes no damn sense. Right. I think Fields has a lot of that capability, too, is you can just roll him a little bit. You're cutting the field in half. Sure, maybe that's not ideal, but you're saving his life. And we saw against Clemson, if he wants to throw that backside post, he will rip that son of a gun 50 yards for a touchdown. So you're not really cutting off half of the field necessarily.
Of course. Well, and he can throw on the run. You know, we've seen it, you know, at least even last week against Minnesota, you know, prior to that. You know, they opened the playbook up almost entirely. I think that there was a few things that kept away, but Luke Kelcey has been shy about opening up the plethora of designs and schemes he wants to run, and we took a massive step backwards from that. I wonder if it's just maybe not even quarterback confidence, because Fields definitely, I think, has a confidence issue we've seen. I mean, the deep breathing exercises, I'm great, it helps him, but you can tell he does get flustered mid-game. It does affect him mentally on the field if things aren't going his way. But I also think our coordinator does too, because, you know, this is a guy that's coming from Aaron Rodgers and now has to basically have much less to work with a quarterback that really badly needs some loving from his offensive coordinator that can't just be put on an island like that.
And you don't have Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, David Bakhtiari to supplement Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
exactly. Bakhtiari being a key guy right there. You're lincing
exactly. Yes.
You know, it's funny because it's not like when Justin Fields makes mistakes that he makes mistakes on. It's not like he gets flustered then. It's like he gets flustered when he's been dealing with nonstop stupid pressure, like just pressure where a guy just misses a block or misses a call out along the line. There were times, like you mentioned in Minnesota, there were times in that game where you're just watching a blitzer come untouched, and you're just like, how is Justin not dying right here in the middle of this? And then last night, you know, on Thursday night, you saw the same thing where there's just blitzers or just guys that are just down on the line going untouched. There's no reason I should see a Montez Sweat ever come off of the edge untouched by a lineman or a tight end. Ever. That should never happen. There should be no reason why I ever see a Jonathan Allen slipping a pulling guard. I should never see a pulling guard miss a Jonathan Allen-sized target, ever.
Allen and Payne made Sam Mustipher and Lucas Patrick look even sillier than they already were. And I was higher on Lucas Patrick after this. After this coming next game, when they play New England, the conversation's been who plays center. It doesn't matter. I have no faith in either one. Just you're stuck. Because Patrick was the idea, like, switch it, Mustipher out. But you know what? No. I saw too many times a man getting burned by a simple swim move. Dude, knock those hands down and get in front of his chest. No movement means you're going to get burned every time.
And this is something, like, honestly, both of us could talk about probably for hours about the offensive line
offensive
play. About how simple it really is to defend some of these moves. I know they're coming from world-class athletes on the other side, but truthfully, they're all beatable. Every single move that Montez Sweat and Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne were pulling, they weren't pulling out of their bag. They were like, all right, we're going to run our 5th grade peewee, rip, swim, simple stuff. They didn't double up moves. They didn't try to trick you with a move. They didn't hit you with it inside out or anything like that. They were very simple moves that got them through the line. And I was just like, it doesn't make sense. But what's funny is you mentioned Minnesota, and then even last night at the end of the game, both of those end of the game situations, that playbook opened up and the RPOs came out, and then the read options, the things that let Justin Fields be who he was, came out, and that was the best offensive showing that at any point in time this season. Combine those two, and you have yourself a winning team right there.
Yeah.
Like, those moments are winning football. Obviously, the very end of both of them, less than ideal, but up until those points, that's winning football. I mean, that was winning football. That is giving your quarterback, and you see it. He's comfortable in RPO system. He's able to read the entire line coming at him, whether he sees anybody, if somebody's coming blitzing or not. So he's able to get out of the pocket and make moves. And that's, I think, if you're this front office for the Bears going forward, and please, God, don't listen to the fans right now, because I'm sorry, Bears fans, you're not the most calm of quarterback readers ever.
Everyone pulls knives. It's how the Bears fans work. You don't.
And they want to pull it on the quarterback first. And the fact is, it's not the quarterback. Fact is, it's literally been everybody but the quarterback at this point. You have receivers running bad routes, dropping balls that they should be catching, for easy touchdowns that are in perfect places. You have tight ends not running a route. He literally comes off of the block in the end zone and he just stands there for a second. And then he's like, oh, crap, I got to run for this, and tries to dive and catch it. And that, like, I mean, Ryan Griffin, you can't do that. You know, he knows he can't do that. It's just there's so many things happening with this team that just, like, I think the only problem you don't have right now is your defensive backs and Justin Fields. It's just like everything else right now, just
running backs,
running backs, and running backs.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else,
anyone but Roquan Smith in the linebacking core is, to me, has been subpar to average at best. So it's just where we're at.
Ryan Poles, you got have some fun this offseason because you got plenty of pieces to fill.
Yeah, let me know if you need some help. I will provide assistance for a minimal fee.
If you think people are upset now, just wait until you have all that stuff supposedly not get used in the wrong way, and then next year watch the meltdown. Because to me, I'm surprised we're having this bad of a meltdown for what they didn't look. The organization didn't say it was a rebuild, but let's be frank, people, this is a classic rebuild. They stripped the whole roster. It's a rebuild. It's
like
a rebuild.
Like a duck quacks like a duck. It's not a damn mongoose.
Once Khalil disappeared off this this roster, it was immediately like, yep, this is getting a rebuild season.
Mm-hmm. Simply put, absolutely. Well, I'm going to cap this off with our discussions here because I don't want to leave this first quarter without saying really another massive news piece that I think people saw coming, and maybe were assuming if it was a loss last week for the Panthers that it was going to happen. Matt Rule's gone. He's been fired by the Carolina Panthers. Don't feel bad for him though. He has plenty of money he's going to be getting over the next few years. Yeah. He's going to be a very wealthy, happy fired head coach, which someone I know made a joke saying, "Hey, that is the best job right now as a fired head coach. Steady pay and you make millions. You walk away in the sunset. You're secure. You do what you want." So Rule walks away leaving a massive mess behind. I'm going to lead this off by saying I think his legacy is defined by incompetence at QB evaluation is really the first and foremost. That's what comes to mind. Between Teddy Bridgewater to Sam Darnold to Baker Mayfield, they never got it right, and they just left a big homogenous pile of crap in that depth chart.
I'll add on top of that his very public spat with Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, and that's what definitely. I'm not saying Joe Brady was the answer, and things they would probably play out the exact same, but like he brought him in there, and it didn't. What was it like? Not even the full year, and he was out of there. So, in all honesty, it was a bad hire at the time, and it's an even worse hire in hindsight. So, good. He'll be a high level college coach any minute now, though, so he'll be fine.
Yeah, I was about to say, let's be honest. Matt Rule is about to get a phone call from Nick Saban, and he's going to be running Nick Saban's offense, or he's going to be his offensive coordinator, or quality control. For a year, and then he's going to run their offense for a year, and then he's going to go back to the NFL. That's just how things work somehow nowadays. But I do think Matt Rule, obviously, it was a negligence. I mean, however you want to put it, negligence, naivety, false sense of confidence. The dude's been playing Madden too many times. Doesn't actually understand how quarterbacks work. I don't know what the answer is here. Maybe he's playing the old school 99 NFL Heat or whatever it is. And I don't know what he was playing. It wasn't something that's conducive for a head coach to be successful. Just from the very start, you were just immediately questioning, like, are we sure this is the guy? There was obviously hope there that potentially, like, when things were just being steady with Teddy, it was fine. But then the abruptness to just blow it all up was immediate. Like he was just like, all right, I don't need this. Bye.
I think they wanted the ceiling to be higher was the thing with Teddy, and they just felt, oh crap, we made a massive mistake because he's more of a floor guy rather than a ceiling guy.
Teddy's a base, he's a base model. Like, I hate to say it that way, but since the guy tears everything in his ankles and his knees, you're not expecting too much out of him beyond that. Like let's be real. So, I don't know, man. Matt Rule, this was such a long time coming. Honestly, I'm surprised he made it through the entire Baker saga, if you will, if you can call it through its entirety. But, I'm surprised he made it past the start. Like, once Baker came in, I'm surprised Matt Rule was still a coach at that point in time. So, I don't know. Matt Rule is just – writing's been on the wall for a long time.
We'll see if CMC gets traded out of this whole thing as well, too, because they're listening. We'll just see if someone pulls the trigger on him because we'll see how that plays out.
All this talent's got somewhere to go.
A lot of
Like,
stuff.
He wants to clean up afterwards when it's all traded away.
Look, I don't think
CMC.
CMC is the only one that you have to worry about getting traded here. I think
Brian
DJ
Burns.
Moore,
Robbie Anderson,
DJ
I
Moore,
think.
Brian Burns. You look at this defensive line. Maybe Derek Brown goes. Hell, Jeremy Chin might go somewhere as well. It depends on how much they want to keep. If they're going to go full bust the roster before we have to pay these kids, or get rid of them now.
Tough decisions ahead, and it's so early in the year. You don't, with coaches being fired mid-season like this, you're really just riding out the storm, hoping for the best at this point. Maybe you get like a Rick Bianca situation where the interim coach just brings a better atmosphere in. Although it sounds like Matt Rule had decent respect from his players leaving, it just didn't work out. Was the main issue there. So, we'll find out. I have a feeling like you guys, they're going to strip this roster down and basically say, you know what, we need to have whoever comes in next do it their way, because there's some money here and there that we're not sure about, and maybe we just need to clear the books.
No matter what, keep DJ Moore. That is your smartest option, because that's a lot of money on your books the next few years if you trade him now.
Yeah, look, honestly, I hate to say it, but at this point, I wouldn't trade anything on the defense, because that defense is so young, and so you can still mold them. But at the same time, you look at that defense, you're like, man, if I could trade this piece, and this piece, all that you could get in return for it. I mean, DJ mentioned Brian Burns. I mentioned Derek Brown. Jeremy Chin is a possibility. Asante Samuel Jr. All these guys can go and – or not Asante Samuel, sorry. Horn. JC Horn, thank you. And, all these guys could go somewhere for a lot of prospects coming back, a lot of draft picks. So you mentioned rebuilding for, somebody rebuilding for their own case. That's a lot of potential draft picks there.
I will say before we get out of this one too, it's a very quarterback heavy draft, and you've got a lot of surrounding pieces. Maybe if you can somehow find a way to keep all of them, and you're going to suck probably regardless, maybe you could just plug and play that rookie quarterback. But unfortunately, ifs, ands, and buts, and no coconuts. You can't guarantee anything.
Could come in where McCaffrey is. You get some assets, and then you use that for a trade in the draft or something like that. Time will tell. Okay. All we know is somebody come this offseason. Yeah, best luck DJ Moore.
Or Matt Corral if he comes back healthy too.
Yeah. Hey, and they haven't really been able to evaluate him, so who knows?
Well, they were also supposed to, have Will Greer way back in the day when he got picked up by them, and then he got evaluated all of 1 week before they were like, yeah, that's not going to work, and now look at him, he's actually was pretty good this preseason.
On the plus side for me, it's PJ Walker time this weekend, so XFL represent. I will take it. I'll take
PJ
my
Walker
wins where
season.
I can.
PJ Walker season is always good season.
It's good. He's actually undefeated in all his starts, by the way. Hard draw this week, but that's a fun
Cooper
fact.
Rush 2.0. Cooper Rush 2.0.
2.0. So happy for him. I love it. I'm going to keep my solo story of the week pretty short and sweet, because you guys have probably had your brains bashed in with this. The storyline to watch is pretty simple. It's basically about what happened last week with roughing the passer. Geez, we cannot escape roughing the passer discussions in the NFL because the gray area becomes deeper and deeper every year. This time, week 5, the scene is set over in Tampa Bay. Here we are as, of course, Tom Brady. He is leading what could be the closing out drive. Grady Jarrett, who's been a nightmare for him for the most part, 3/4 of that Super Bowl that we don't want to mention, comes up and, sacks him. Seems pretty normal. Kind of whips him around a little, not too crazy. Doesn't hit the head on the turf. 15-yard penalty, roughing the passer. The drive continues. Game's over. Look, the Falcons weren't going to win that game. They would at least get a drive, as Grady would go on to say on his local sports station. But the point is, the NFL is course corrected a little too far once again. If you aren't catching on, yes, we've talked about the concussion portions of this with Tua. And if you're looking at how these plays are called, that whipping motion, which was very much the reason why that flag was thrown on Grady Jarrett, definitely is stemming, I think, from the same whipping motions or similar that came from Tua. I'm going to put it this way. I am, as we've said, player health first. We want to focus on that. That being said, the NFL always seems to course correct a little too far on these issues. This happened in this instance. Same goes for the Monday night affair with Derek Carr, which clearly wasn't needing a call because it's an incomplete pass and shouldn't be ruled as roughing the passer. This is unfortunately where the NFL's gone. Silver lining, I guess, is Tom Brady got fined for $11,193, but that's chump change. Nonetheless, be on the lookout for this story to keep affecting it. This is typical NFL, unfortunately, at this stage. And it's only going to be, I think, widened as we go in terms of the focus on protecting the QB. It's inevitable to happen. I understand why they do it. But if a defensive tackle does all he needs to do to bring down a quarterback in what is a pretty normal tackle in today's game, which is a violent game, I'm not sure what else you got to do. But you keep being vocal as you can, and you try and be an active participant as a fan. Make your voice heard. Hopefully the NFL will listen. Otherwise, typical course correction. That's all I got to say. And I'll finally pass this on. We give it over to DJ for his segment on all the things you need to know on where your money could go this week with some of the bets in the NFL.
All right. Thank you very much, Zach. Now we're heading to quarter two, talking about some betting on, see if we can win ourselves a little bit of money. Our best bet parlays, where we take one outrageous one pretty good one, and one easy one. They've been fluctuating a little bit. Last week, the Steelers kind of let us down by getting absolutely blown out. But this week, we think we can have a little bit of course correction here. We're going to do some intermediate bets with some highlight games this week. We're going to start with the Packers versus the Jets. First one I got is, I think the first scoring play is going to be a Green Bay field goal. We know how spotty their offense kind of is as well. You mentioned that Jets defense, pretty good, actually. Surprisingly good. Sauce Gardner's he's a top 10 corner right now, the way he's playing. And the rest of that defense is pretty solid. So give me the first scoring play being a Green Bay field goal. Kelcey, I'll go to you first. What are you looking at for this Packers-Jets game?
Yeah, the Packers-Jets game. I'm actually going to go a little bit wild, and I'm actually going to go Breece Hall, 2 touchdowns anytime, plus 650 odds right now. But you know what? That running game for the Jets obviously looks really good. It's good, carries them and gets their offense working. Gets this Packers defense that sometimes struggles against the run. So we'll have to wait and see. Sometimes struggles against the run. We'll have to see if this is one of those days today, whether they struggle. If so, Breece Hall maybe gets in the end zone twice there.
All right, I like it. Going with the rookie. So, all right, heading over to you, Zach. What are we looking at in this Packers-Jets game? Is this the kicking one?
No, this isn't the kicking one. I debated it, not this time. I'm actually going to go with a defensive prop bet. I haven't really done that at all this year because I'm high on Juice Gardner too. You know what? Give me the plus 118 odds on Juice Gardner, 4.5 tackles right there on the over. I think he can get five on that today. I'm seeing, Aaron Rodgers. I think they'll test the air a little bit more in this contest, but I do see a possibility of this. I'm high on the kid, and I think that you're going to find opportunities where he can get those 5 tackles for you.
The sauce is going to be the boss in this game, it sounds like. So that's definitely something to look forward to. So next we're going to take a look at the Browns versus the Patriots. And for this one, I'm going to actually go with Nick Chubb at 124.5 yards and a touchdown. It is a boost, so it's up to plus 320 odds. I think Nick Chubb's been on an absolute tear this year. Patriots run D's pretty good. Bill Belichick can do his best to stop, but there's only so much you can do behind that offensive line and but Nick Chubb. So I think he's going to catch that. We'll go right back to you, Zach. What are we looking at for Browns Patriots?
It's hard for me to make this one, but I'm going to stick with this one just because based on scores. Give me the winning margin on this. If you're confident on either one of these teams, I feel like it's a very split type of competition here. I know the odds are -2.5 last I checked for the Browns over the Patriots, but I wouldn't be opposed if you wanted to throw some money on the winning margin of 1-6 from either New England or Cleveland, plus 280 if you do Cleveland, plus 330 if you do New England. And I'm bullish on New England taking this one, by the way, in my pick'em. So I'm going to take the plus 330 on these odds, going with it for the fact that Cleveland 4 out of 5 times this year, 1 possession score games. It's not going to get too far a margin of that. This is a tough team to face no matter what situation. It's probably going to be a 1-score too because New England's not really high powered either.
Definitely want to expect that. Hopefully it's not like last year's game, which was like a 45-10 type of game as well.
Oh, Jesus.
30-point margins. Hopefully we don't see anything quite like that.
I don't see it. They're both very kind of lackadaisical in some regards, but Cleveland, that's just been their bread and butter. They're like playing cardiac games this year right now. It's just you expect it as a Browns fan this season.
The 2 quarterbacks that were in that game last year are not the quarterbacks of the teams this year. Mac Jones, if I'm not mistaken, won't be back this week too. So the whole different story. Kelcey, I'm going to toss this one over to you. What are we looking at for Browns Patriots? Is this a Bailey Zappi bet?
No, I wanted it to be, but I couldn't find a good enough Bailey Zappi bet that I liked.
Yes, anyone doesn't know, Kelcey is high on Bailey Zappi too. So
yeah, Bailey Zappi is going to be a much better quarterback in the NFL than most people predict. Anyways, no, this one, obviously Browns love to run the ball, and everybody knows they love to run the ball, which is why I'm going for Amari Cooper to have 2 touchdowns in this one. I'm going plus 1,200 odds here. They're going to get in the red zone, and they're going to play action, and Amari Cooper is going to be just wide open because that's just what Amari Cooper does. And he's going against, by the way, a guy he used to burn in college, in Jonathan Jones.
Fun fact, Jonathan Jones is out this week, I believe, too. So he'll even get the toast Jonathan Jones backup. There
you go. So even better. He doesn't have to deal with somebody who has world-class speed. So Amari Cooper there, 2 touchdowns, plus 1,200 odds on this one. So we'll see if he's able to do it.
All right, definitely an interesting game to keep an eye on as well, too. For the last one, we're going to head out west, and we're going to look at a divisional matchup between the Seahawks and the Cardinals. This one we're going to just have a little bit of fun with. I'm going with the double result. So Seattle first, and then Arizona in the second half. So I got that at plus 500 odds. Seattle, as we've seen, Geno Smith, that offense can randomly explode at any given moment. But we've also seen Kyler Murray and the Cardinals in those fourth quarters be very, very competitive. Even last week against the Eagles, they got in position. The kicker just slightly missed the field goal as well. So I'm going to go with Arizona second, Seattle, Arizona at plus 500 double result. Zach, what are we looking at for the Cardinals and the Seahawks? I think I know where we're going with this one, though, based on what's
you know it. I'm this is the kicking bet one I'm going with this week. And I'm actually going to take here, I'm going to take Matt Amendola with the extra point bet plus 116 for 2.5. I think that should be pretty reasonable with how Seattle's been playing. Very much have been more the high-powered offense. I mean, we've seen it 2 weeks in a row from the Seahawks team. The Cardinals are going to be very much playing either catch-up or they're going to be sprinting with them side by side. You should easily be able to land a over of 3 for Matt Amendola for extra points.
They wrote Geno off, but he didn't write back, and that equates to Amendola point after attempt. So that's a very safe bet. I like that one as well, too. Kelcey, we're going to head on over to you. What are we looking at for Seahawks and Cardinals?
Yeah, I rode with one rookie already in our picks. So I'm going to go with another rookie here again, getting his first opportunity to lead as the lead horse in the backfield. That's Kenneth Walker. And again, I'm going to stick with a 2-touchdown bet. This one only a plus 470 odds, which shocking considering all the other ones are, plus 650 for Breece Hall, plus 1,200 for Amari. Plus 470, which means it's the most likely out of all of them to happen. Kenneth Walker getting 2 touchdowns in this game.
2 touchdowns, 2 tutties. You know what? He's had 5 in a game before, so it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility.
In his debut, he decides to rattle off a big run for a touchdown to start with. So you know what? I feel pretty comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, he had a pretty nice touchdown of 69 yards. So
he's the perfect debutant so far.
Especially with the way that high-flying passing offense has been, you got to imagine there's going to be a lot of running lanes opened up as well, too. So I like that pick, and I know a lot of fantasy owners are looking forward to that as well, too. So that's gonna wrap up those 3 games. Now we're going to head over to DJ's best bet, where, as we mentioned earlier, we put together a parlay featuring one a little more outlandish, one very likely, and one somewhere in the middle as well. So the one that's easy for me is I'm going to go with the Cowboys covering that 6.5 point spread. I think the Eagles are the better team. I think they will win the game, as we'll talk about in our pick'ems. But that Cowboys defense has been sensational. Cooper Rush has been really good, but they're not blowing anybody out. So, and the way the Eagles are playing, they're running the ball, playing good defense. It's a collision of 2 movable objects, if you will. So I think it's going to be a really close, lower scoring game. Give me the Cowboys to cover 6.5. Kansas City beating Buffalo, the money line plus 122. You mean to tell me I get to take Patrick Mahomes and get plus odds all day long? Buffalo clearly looks like the juggernaut team, but Kansas City at home, money line, I'm going to take that. A little more unlikely one, but I'm going to roll with it anyway. J.K. Dobbins, not starting to come back to form just a little bit as well, too. He's looked pretty good the last couple of weeks as he's got his sea legs back under him as well, too. I think he's got a good chance to go off for not 1, but 2 touchdowns as they take on the New York Football Giants, a 4-1 New York Football Giants as well, too, who pretty solid against the run, but we did see Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon could find some room on them as well. So give me J.K. Dobbins to score 2 touchdowns as they key in on Lamar Jackson as well as Mark Andrews as well, too. So that's the one that's a little more out there, but if all of these hit, you got plus 3,185 odds, which mean bet $1, win yourself a nice $31.85. So that's what we're looking at for our best bet parlay. And you know what? We don't have Jimmy, as you know, but we're still not skipping out on fantasy football. We're still going to talk about some who to start, who to sit, and a boom player of the week. So, Kelcey, I'll go ahead and toss you over to that as the fill-in guy.
Yeah, so as the fill-in guy, I get to be your fantasy starts, sits, and I get to even give you Jim's boom of the week, if you will. So some more Jim's BS.
Yeah.
But so we're going to start out, obviously, with the quarterback position. Jim likes to give you 2 quarterbacks, and then we'll discuss amongst the crew to see who. We have 3 people, so we can actually come to a consensus of who is our start and who is our sit for the week. So starting at the quarterback position, we have Justin Herbert versus Denver, sitting at a 66% completion rate, 1,478 yards passing, 10 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Last week gave you 14.42 points. This week projected to give you 23.83. Going up against Matthew Stafford against Carolina, 69.8% completion rate, 1,323 yards passing, 5 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. And last week gave you 15.32 with this week projected against 22.76. Guys, just off projections, you see Justin Herbert there with the lead. But I do have to get your opinion. Where do we have everybody going?
Yeah. Tough one here. I know that Matthew Stafford's been a rough go this season, but honestly, I kind of like the choices here over Carolina compared to what Herbert has in Denver. I know Denver, look, they're no question their offensive production has been sloppy. Their defense, however, has been, their defense, however, has been keeping them in games. This one's going to be, I feel, a little bit more of a slugfest divisionally, whereas Carolina, not too much pressure has been going their way this season. They haven't been doing too much, I feel, that has really been able to get back to the QB. Whether or not Matthew Stafford's been able to focus on Cooper Kupp or not, and you have to focus in on maybe beating J.C. Horn, I think they can get the job done. I'm a little more bullish on Matthew Stafford this week, even with his overall season going a little south.
All right, so one Matthew Stafford. DJ, you with Stafford or you with Herbert on this one?
Everything Zach said was absolutely correct, but I'm still going to go with Justin Herbert. It's one of those where if you no matter what, I feel like you always have to roll with him. You don't play. He's one of those like the elite players you don't play matchup with. You play him every single time. So I'm going to go with Herbert. I think they're going to get some takeaways on defense with how bad Denver's offense has been, which could lead to some short fields and some easy touchdowns of Herbert. And we have Austin Eckler back in the league too these last 3 weeks as well too. He's come back with a bang and made up for some lost time. So give me Justin Herbert on this one, but I do like that Stafford matchup too.
Yeah, this one is actually really tough because of the Stafford matchup. That Carolina matchup is a tough one to turn down. But I'm actually going to lean towards DJ with this one. That how bad that Denver's offense has been. Justin Herbert seems like the best odds-on option here. Plus, you get Austin Eckler back. He loves to throw to Eckler. Eckler is one of the best receiving backs in the league. He provides so many points for himself that way, but also for Justin Herbert that way as well. Don't be surprised if he has himself a nice 23 to 25 point game. Justin Herbert does in this one. So a little bit of exceeding expectations there. So that gives us a 2-1 odds. Justin Herbert is the option here to start. But let us know, guys, in the comments what your guys' thoughts are, Herbert or Matthew Stafford, because that'll be a very interesting pick there as well. Going into the running backs, we are looking at Nick Chubb versus New England. 98 carries on the year, 593 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns. Last week gave you 28.4 points. This week only projected 14.4, but those projections normally a little low. Aaron Jones versus the New York Jets, 61 carries on the year for Aaron Jones, 390 yards rushing. 1 touchdown, gets most of his work splitting between the receiving game and in the backfield as well with A.J. Dillon. So last week gave you only 10 points. This week projected 18.4. Guys, Nick Chubb versus New England or Aaron Jones versus the Jets?
I'll keep mine short and sweet. Nick Chubb is the exact same thing of Justin Herbert, just times 2 even. At the leading running back, that is an absolute monster. And as I said in betting, I expect him to have a pretty good day just through sheer volume as well, too. So give me Nick Chubb, although I think Aaron Jones can be pretty decent. He splits time much more than Nick Chubb does. So give me Nick Chubb on this.
I'm also leaning Chubb for this one. Even if you wanted to go with the Aaron Jones angle of he might be having more pass attempts go his way, the fact that, Green Bay, of course, might be doing more dink and dunk with how the Jets secondary has been. Nick Chubb's going to get the volume. Also, if you even want to do raw defensive stats, New England actually has a little bit worse of a rush defense than the Jets. I would take Chubb simply for the fact he is their offense for the most part and the main engine that runs. He's going to get you volume at the very least. He'll get you your points.
Hey, he might lose out on 2 touchdowns to Amari Cooper in this game.
That's the only knock.
I'm still gonna give it to Nick Chubb in this one. I mean, I think it's just too obvious to go Nick Chubb versus New England because it really is. It is the main driving force for Cleveland, and he seems to make the biggest plays when they need him. So give me Nick Chubb here in this situation. It doesn't make sense when he makes big plays either. It's like 3rd and 14, and he's like, all right, I'll bust off 40. Don't worry, guys. Give me Nick Chubb in this one as well. So 3 for 3, we're going Nick Chubb over Aaron Jones here. But Aaron Jones, don't be surprised in that dink and dunk system, like Zach said. He could probably rattle you off some points. So if maybe you have a dual option, or maybe you don't have a good flex option there as well, maybe slide him into that flex situation. But again, let's know your thoughts in the comments. Going into the receiving core, this one's a pretty interesting matchup here. Jamar Chase versus New Orleans. Jamar Chase sitting on 32 catches, 343 yards, 2 touchdowns. Last week gave you 12 points. Projected this week to give you 15.89. Jalen Waddle going up against the Minnesota Vikings, 24 catches, 404 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. Last week only gave you a 5.3 when he had Spencer Thompson leading the quarterbacking there. And this week projected 15.69, but yet again likely to get more Spencer there as his quarterback. So, question to you guys. Zach, we're going to go right back to you. Jalen Waddle or Jamar Chase?
I actually am going to go with Jamar Chase just from what I saw last week. Simply put it, look, if Geno Smith can put up the numbers, I bet you can give time enough for of course, Joe Burrow to get Jamar Chase active. Plus, not to mention, you can't guard T. Higgins forever on that opposite side as well. I do think Jalen Waddle, there is potential with Minnesota, as we saw against Chicago. It's inconsistent pressure that the Vikings can bring at times. Nonetheless, though, I do feel that what's hampering is, of course, Thompson being the quarterback rather than being anybody else behind there. So give me Jamar Chase with his star quarterback being able to toss against the Saints defense that was a little bit leaky, surprisingly, against the Seattle Seahawks.
Interesting. DJ?
If it was Tua or even Teddy Two Gloves, I would take Jalen Waddle in this matchup as well too. But there's too many questions for me to feel comfortable that if I had to choose between two, I'm taking Jamar Chase because, as you mentioned, he's got his guy. The Saints defense, Marshawn Lattimore's still nice, but he can't guard everybody. And eventually Jamar Chase, even in his slower games, finds a way to get a little something. So give me Jamar Chase just from the almost guaranteed production factor.
Yeah, this one feels like a matchup. Like if he gave me this matchup before that he realized that Tua wasn't going to be involved, or this feels like a matchup from made preseason, because honestly, this is a great matchup if everybody's healthy between Jalen Waddle and Jamar Chase. But I'm with you guys. Everybody not being healthy. Jamar Chase coming off a low week last week, though. Give me Jamar Chase, but bounce back week this week, fantasy wise. But he's also going to be having everybody throwing him the ball. Like Jamar, it's going to be Burrow, going to be throwing the ball comfortably. It's not going to be some third string quarterback who I still don't even know where he went to college at. So yeah, give me Jamar Chase in this situation as well. So again, 3 for 3 for Jamar Chase. So we're all going that way. Everybody, if you guys have a better opinion though, drop it in the chat. Maybe Jalen Waddle, maybe somebody else. Let us know.
Oh, yeah.
In the flex here, we'll move into the flex. Gabe Davis versus Michael Pittman. So Gabe Davis sitting at 11 catches, 309 receiving yards, which is an insane yards per catch, by the way. 3 touchdowns on the season. Last week gave you 42.1 points. Projected this week to give you 14.7. Michael Pittman going against Jacksonville, 25 catches, 283 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. Last week gave you 10.9 points. This week projected at 14.3. But he is going against Jacksonville, and it is that division game, and it's a big game for the Colts. What do you guys think? And DJ, I'm going to start with you on this one.
In theory, it should be a good game for Michael Pittman to go off as well, too. You're missing your 2 starting running backs for Indianapolis. You are probably going to have to go through the passing game. But I feel much more comfortable with Gabriel Davis because the way that offense goes, he's going to get opportunities, especially down the field as well. And we still don't know what the hell's going on with the Colts offense. Their offensive line is turnstiles. Matt Ryan looks, for the first time in his career, gun shy because he's been assaulted so much these first 5 weeks. So that I have questions with what they can do in the passing game. So give me Gabriel Davis because I think Michael Pittman's ceiling this week is a little bit higher just because he's the number 1 guy, quote unquote, where Gabriel Davis going against a better team with more options. But he's going to get a bomb. It's the Gabriel Davis special. He had 4 touchdowns the last time he saw this Kansas City secondary. So give me Gabriel Davis for no other reason than I feel more comfortable with him guaranteeing to get me something.
As a person that's rostered Gabe Davis last week and was really hoping that I would pan out with him hitting back as we talked about, I am pleased to say I am once again going to be bullish on Gabe Davis. The matchup alone makes you scream this is going to be a shootout. Stephon Diggs will, of course, get his numbers, but much like we saw in the playoffs, much like we've seen in previous weeks, healthy Gabriel Davis, it is a nightmare matchup for defenses to have to deal with both those guys. I think he's going to get his numbers. Michael Pittman, to me, I do think there's possibilities there. However, Jacksonville's secondary has stepped up a lot better this year. Shaquille Griffin's played up to his contract. I got to give him props to that. So from what I've seen as well, I'm not saying he'll guard all day, but I think Gabe Davis, it's going to be a game that is based on basically who can score the last. Give me that chance to where he'll give you your points in a shootout.
Wow. All right. So I'm going to go on a lone island here, and because of how I have this game kind of panning out a little bit more in my head is I actually see Isaiah McKenzie getting a lot of those wide open attempts there for Buffalo because he has been a guy that, look, last year, Buffalo versus Kansas City, we all saw Gabe Davis, what he did. Kansas City's not going to let that happen again. I don't think there's a single way, shape, or form that anybody on the Kansas City defense is going to be like, okay, where's number 13? Where's number 14? Where's number 13? That's rule number 1, rule number 2. Obviously, where 17 is. They're going to forget where 6 is. Would don't be surprised if it's him or maybe even Baldwin there, or snagging a few catches here and there, coming in from nowhere to get a few catches in this game. I'm sorry, not Baldwin, Crowder. I don't know why I said Baldwin.
Sure, yeah.
Other former Seahawks receiver. But so give me Michael Pittman in this one. I think he has a better opportunity in Jacksonville. I think this is a must-win for the Colts as well. And with obviously missing Jonathan Taylor, Nyheim Hines, gives him more opportunity there. So Alec Pierce kind of do his welcome to Indy last week. So Jacksonville's going to be a little bit more wary about that. And he also wasn't playing in the week one or their first matchup as well. So Alec Pierce will be there, and he's actually a weapon this time when Michael Pittman will have a little bit of pressure taken off. So
Michael Pittman didn't play in their first matchup either.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. Well, here we go. I'm going to take Michael Pittman in this one. Again, let us know your choice, or if you have a better choice as a flex potential as well. And now moving into the final spot, defenses. We have Buccaneers defense versus Pitt. 6 in points allowed, 6 against the pass, 17th against the run. Last week gave you 7 points. This week projected at 7.3. Eagles defense versus Dallas. 7th in the points allowed, 5th against the pass, 10th against the run. And last week gave you 4 points. This week projected at 6.7. Real quick, guys, who you taking? Tampa Bay defense or Eagles offense, DJ?
Rookie quarterback, bad offensive line. Give me Tampa Bay against Pittsburgh. Their only hope is Najee Harris not playing without that steel plate in his foot. Maybe he goes off for 200 and 200. But other than that, give me Tampa Bay's defense all day.
Same sentiments here. I mean, unless Najee Harris is all of a sudden 100% like he is claiming to be, I have slight doubts, but we'll see. They're going to make it a nightmare for Pickett. I got to take Tampa Bay here.
Yeah. By the way, 6th against the rush and 3rd in sacks are also Tampa Bay's defense. So, give me Tampa Bay's defense in this one as well. Kenny Pickett and that young offensive line is going to have hell. So that'll take us to Jim's boom of the week option. I don't know why he's picking this man. The man just came off of a 4-touchdown performance, but you know what? This is Jim's pick. We're going to let him have it. He is taking Travis Kelcey of the Kansas City Chiefs, projected 18.33 points this week. Last week gave you 33.5, saved a lot of teams' fantasy hopes. Sitting at 33 receptions this season, looking at another record-setting performance as a tight end in the season, 347 yards, 7 touchdowns already. Travis Kelcey literally got 4 touchdowns last week, so over half of his touchdowns came in 1 week. I got nothing to say about this one. I just don't know if he performs the same way he did last year. But again, it seems like if you don't have Travis Kelcey as your tight end in fantasy, you are missing out on your fantasy tight end, it seems like. So
if you don't have Travis Kelcey, then you are, I'll take 5 points from the tight end position, no matter who else is there. And if he booms this week based off last week, I think that means Travis Kelcey's getting a 60 pieces. What Jim's saying with him is a boom pick there, which
I don't know how you could. I don't know. I guess the yardage is the only thing he could really improve on from last week, considering he had 4 catches for less than 25 yards, and for 4 touchdowns. So I guess that's the only improvement. You can have 4 catches for 80 yards, maybe give you 100 yards.
Could have 6 catches for 60 yards and 6 touchdowns next. I don't know what he's pulling off here.
I got nothing to add because of the fact that if that's not booming, I don't know what else it is.
Yeah. But so guys, Jim's boom of the week, Travis Kelcey. So we'll let that go, and then we're gonna move on to quarter 4. This is our fantasy, our primetime pick'ems. And let's just say last week, DJ, you made a valiant effort at coming back. You got back within 1 game. Very, very impressive there. Whereas we look at the bottom of the standings, and it's just
he's creeping.
I crawled further away from the 500 mark. It's just depressing right now. And it wasn't like I was losing island picks. No, I'm losing picks with other people. We all pick the same pick. Oh, we lose. Majority of us pick the same pick. Oh, we lose. So it was not been my weeks lately so far when picking with other people, which unfortunately most of my picks this week were, with the exception of my island. But I did lose my island last week, by the way, ruining my perfect 4-week hoping there, thanks to the Bears. Although they almost gave me my island trip.
They did their best.
It's Marset, man.
Yeah, I blame him. But we're going to start with our first game to watch game we just talked about. Buffalo versus Kansas City. DJ, the only one on the Chiefs bandwagon. I guess you're hoping for that Travis Kelcey boom week as well, is what I see.
I mean, we said it was the same thing when we did the playoff predictions last year. Everyone was on the Bills except me, and I think this is going to be the antithesis of last year, where in the regular season the Bills clobbered the Chiefs, and then the Chiefs got them in the playoffs. I think this year we're going to see the Chiefs kind of get redemption of the regular season, but if they meet in the playoffs when the Bills are actually at full strength with Trey White and squad back too, that's when it could get interesting. So the Bills are the better team, but Kansas City, I think that underdog at home thing for the first time in Patty's career, it's going to give that little extra motivation that a lot of teams talk about in a very close matchup like this. Give me Patrick Mahomes this one.
All right, fair enough.
I'm not betting comfortably on it, though. I know it's part of the best bet, but I'm not happy about it.
This was definitely the hardest pick for me this week just because of the firepower. I don't know. I'm kind of making this as a prove it pick where it's like, okay, Buffalo, You want to show you've got your gains from this offseason and that you're ready to finally get over that hump. Kansas City to me is that final hump of that final leg to showing that they are the Super Bowl contender that people expect them to be. So I'm going Buffalo, but it's very much by a razor thin choice I had to make there.
This kind of reminds me of like the Patriots of the old days, where like the Colts, let's say for example, Peyton Manning had to get over the Patriots to get there. I feel like this is the same thing for Josh Allen. He has to get over the Chiefs to get there in a lot of ways. So we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see on this one. I love you guys' thoughts on that. Now moving into the Cowboys and Eagles matchup, we are all on the Eagles train. I gotta say I'm still silently rooting for Cooper Rush in the back of my head. Very deep back there. I don't know how far back. Maybe it's on the hairs that are getting cut off. I don't know. But yeah, still Eagles just seem to be odds-on favorite in this one. I mean, is there a chance the Cowboys win, guys?
A very good chance that it's going to be a close game, and I think that defense can make it very, very interesting. I'm leaning towards the Eagles because I think they just have a little bit of extra something in these close games, which Cooper Rush, great. We saw him with that game-winning drive against the Vikings last year, that game-winning tud to Amari Cooper is no longer there. But I'm going to give the slight edge to the Eagles the way they're playing right now, but both defenses, I think this is going to be a hideous game offensively because those defenses are going to be cooking.
Zach, you same thought?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the similar vein, but I do think that this is going to be a little too much for the Dallas Cowboys to overcome is my issue. The Cowboys defense, what can I say from from the previous week? You know, defense is their bread and butter right now, and just maintaining with Cooper Rush until you can get Dak Prescott back. I think if Dak was in this game, I'd have a little more say and maybe pick the Cowboys. Nonetheless, though, the Eagles are flying high. They're going to soar into a 6-0 start.
That just makes me feel more and more like I should not pick the Cowboys anymore this season, and hopefully they'll just work out for me.
No.
Moving into the last game, I'm highlighting Monday Night Football. Let's hope Monday Night Football is not as big of a curse for the Broncos as Thursday Night Football has been for that offense. So we're all going with the Chargers, though, based off of that. And guys, I mean, let's just ask the question that is on everybody's mind: will the Broncos score over 15 points?
They'll score at 18. I'm saying I don't think they'll crack 20, but I think
it's only happened one time this season. They've scored 24 this season once.
They're as bad as the Colts offensively, if not worse. Those two teams are hideous offensively. It's painful. That defense still has some playmakers, and Justin Herbert puts a lot of pressure on offenses too. So give me the Chargers in this until I see it with the Broncos. I have to see it.
Zach?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I think 17's reasonable, even with Russell Wilson not cooking like a 5-star chef and needing an injection in his shoulder.
5-star.
You know?
Dude, I'm hoping for a 1-star from this. I'm hoping for a McDonald's Happy Meal from this guy at least once.
I'm hoping for a McDouble with bread. Like,
dude,
I'm just hoping he at least puts the hamburger on the buns at this point.
Remember the buns on?
Yeah, dude, there's some Burger King and McDonald's that are better than what the cooking I've seen from Russ as of late is all I can tell you. 17 is obtainable, but no, like Los Angeles, I almost said San Diego, but it's understandable. Nonetheless, they're going to run this one. Overall better, well-developed roster, and one that I think is better coached too. Nathaniel Hackett already is off to at least a horrendous start in many people's eyes for how he is managing this roster and coaching decisions in game. Yeah, I'm not going to lean on that. I will definitely take the other side.
All right. Yeah, I'm with you guys. I mean, honestly, I don't trust Denver to do anything. But that leads us to my favorite time of the week, Kelcey's Island of the Week, where I have a chance to go to the beautiful Sandy Islands or Trash Island just outside of New Jersey. We'll have to wait and see which one I end up at. But this week, I'm relying on the Colts.
Oh, you
take
poor
me
soul.
there.
Oh, no.
I'm the only one picking the Colts over the Jaguars. And if you guys are wondering how these get picked, we all make our picks, and then I just go through and see where my island is, and that's what I'm riding with. Unfortunately, there's no better way to do this, so this is the one I'm going with here, guys. You guys left me with the Colts here. It's kind of a.
There's a reason.
I can't lie. You know what? I'm trusting in Matt Ryan. In Matt Ryan, we trust. In Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce, we trust. And that defense, we trust.
You're a former offensive lineman. You know how bad turnstiles can be for any quarterback as well, too. So you can have your faith is in the right quarterback, but the fat guys are going to let you down.
You know what? That's fine. That's not the first time fat guys have let me down. I've been a lineman long enough to have bad offensive linemen as my co-offensive lineman.
Well, all right. That's a good way to wrap this up then. The credentials.
Hopefully it was a quick turnaround from that beating that they took in Jacksonville. And it's not in Jacksonville. You know, there's less of a curse there. So
there's a chance. But that'll do it for us this time, guys. Let us know what you guys' thoughts are in the comments on our social media on Twitter at 4th and 4 or on any one of our Twitters. It's you guys can check it out. All that stuff is in the description below. And as always, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. Enjoy the games today, and we will see you guys next week.